Moving on to the Calgary Stampeders, there's questions once again about star quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell. Coming off 2 seasons where he's been plagued by injury, he says he's the healthiest he's ever been, but a rough preseason outing has people concerned. How long a leash does Bo Levi Mitchell have in Calgary?
It's such a cliche thing to say during training camp. Every athlete, I think, pretty much says, yeah, this is the healthiest I've ever been, even though Bo Levi Mitchell has had a broken leg, had his shoulder pretty much ripped off, and then they've been trying to put back together for multiple years. So I get, in a sense, what he's saying, that maybe he's the healthiest over the last couple of seasons that were actually played. But we've seen Bo Levi Mitchell in his prime, and I hate even thinking about it, but it's a long shot for him to get back there. I still think he can be really good. And we got to remember, this team was still 8-6 with him suffering that broken leg, trying to play on it. And then, of course, Jake Maier came in and did so well for them that they re-signed, had that great insurance policy behind Bo Levi Mitchell. So I think that's why the Stamps are fortunate. If Mitchell falters, they can go to Maier, and he's, to be quite honest, a lot of people don't want to say it, but outplayed Bo Levi Mitchell last season and already in the preseason. For what it's worth, I think Mitchell can play well. He's been somewhat honest about his thoughts in the offseason about possibly retiring. That's why I want to take him at his word when he says he feels the best he's ever felt. But I just don't think that's possible. I think it's the best he's felt in the last couple years or seasons.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's be honest here. A pro football player could have their leg amputated, and they'd still say that they feel the best they've ever felt in their entire career. And I'm not calling Bo Levi Mitchell a liar. I'm just saying I don't put a lot of stock into him saying that. The proof has to be in the pudding. He threw 3 completions and 2 picks in the preseason. That was not a strong performance. And while if this been a year ago, right? If this was Bo Levi Mitchell coming off like an MLP caliber season or a Grey Cup, nobody cares that he doesn't play well in the preseason. This year it mattered because, as far as I'm concerned, after a terrible showing in the 2019 playoffs, after a poor showing last season, yes, largely due to injury, Bo does not deserve the benefit of the doubt like he did 2 years ago, like he even did 1 year ago. At this point in time, Jake Maier has outplayed him consistently for last year, and Jake Maier was the better quarterback in the regular season. Am I suggesting that Jake Maier should be Calgary's starter in week 1? No. Bo Levi Mitchell still deserves that opportunity to be the game 1 starter, but I think it's also reasonable to say that Bo Levi Mitchell should not get a long leash. He should be on a relatively short leash because Jake Maier is the future of this team. And I think that's becoming increasingly clear to people, not just in Calgary, but outside of Calgary across the country.
It'll be interesting to see when Dave Dickenson begins to go through that decision process. Like, how many games of below average play would Bo Levi Mitchell have to put together before you make that transition to Jake Maier, right? I think if it was any other quarterback, you'd say, okay, 1 or 2 stinkers, and all of a sudden you're looking at the next guy. But Bo Levi Mitchell, I think we do have to give him credit. This is a first ballot, future Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the greatest to ever play in our league. He deserves some benefit of the doubt early in the season, but where is that mark where it becomes untenable as a football team to stick with the existing guy, even if he has been the face of your franchise? Is that week 4? Is that week 6? Is that week 8? It'll be interesting to see where Dave Dickenson begins to go through the process of that quarterback controversy if Bo Levi Mitchell struggles. And that's a big if, of course. I don't want to say he's absolutely going to do that. There is a chance that he comes out and he has a rejuvenated season. But I look at that Calgary roster, and Reggie Begelton's going to cover a lot of the mistakes early on because of how talented he is. But if he or Kamar Jordan gets hurt at any point this year, I just don't see a lot of weapons in the passing game for the Stampeders.
That's why Kadeem Carey could be the key to this Calgary Stampeders team. That's really when they went on that mini heater that Dickenson wanted to see late last season that got them in the playoffs, was when Carey was toting the rock and really carrying the bulk of the load on offense, which seems weird to say with Mitchell at quarterback, but that's the case, I do think, as you kind of alluded to, JC, a full season of Reggie Begelton will certainly help out this offense and make it more dynamic. But as you said, if either one of those guys gets hurt, then they're back in that situation where it's a bunch of no names coming into the lineup that Mitchell or potentially Mayer is trying to deal with in terms of developing a quick rapport. So if those two guys stay healthy and Carey can back up what he did in 2021, that will certainly help Mitchell or Mayer if he's in there. To be honest, what I'm most intrigued about with this Calgary team as a whole, and yeah, obviously Mitchell is the key one, but is to see how Cam Judge plays, because he was a ratio breaker for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The Toronto Argonauts didn't necessarily use him properly, and I bet Brett Monson, the defensive coordinator, is just loving having a guy with his athletic ability as a Canadian on his defense. I think that can be a game changer for the defense that, to be honest, was pretty good already last year. They got Mike Rose in the middle, Sean Lemon, the ageless sack wonder, continuing to come off the edge. You put Cam Judge in the middle with some of those veteran defenders that they have on the outside, especially the corner. And I can't believe I'm forgetting his name, guys. Who is it?
Trey Roberson.
That's it. Coming back a full season, that this Stamps team will be a force to be reckoned with on defense, which again will help out Mitchell or Mayer.